You want your kids, your spouse, your family to be okay when you're gone. And a critical part of that is money, the financial legacy you're leaving behind, or hopefully not, but the financial mess. I'm Roy Furr with Asset Strategies. I'm sitting down here with Nicole Norris, a financial advisor with Asset Strategies. Nicole, welcome.
Thanks.
And we're going to talk about this. Now, Asset Strategies serves over 2,000 clients across 48 states from our offices in Omaha and Lincoln. So we deal with this situation quite often. So many families are not preparing, not having the conversations that they need to have at what can be an uncomfortable conversation.
Mhm.
So what are the risks? Let's start here. What are the risks of not really planning, not really thinking about when you're gone, what's going to happen with your finances?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways that can be really detrimental.
Yeah.
Um, I think that not having those conversations, not preparing, believe the people who are left to deal with the aftermath, probably missing some things, just having to spend a lot of time and energy kind of doing a wild goose chase for where, accounts are and what beneficiaries are supposed to be. If there's not a well-defined will, it's known where it is and is up to date. There can just be a lot of things that go wrong if that's not in place. And in turn, assets might be, not found for a long time. And it can lead to family tension. There's just a lot of things that can go wrong.
Yeah. The last thing you want to do is like when this like one of the hardest times of our lives, right? So
Yeah.
just pile all that financial stress in.
Yeah, yeah, you're in the middle of an emotionally just terrible time in your life, and then having to add that on top of it is not great.
Yeah. So one of the things we were talking about before we hit record here is that a big part of this isn't just the practical, tangible steps, but it's the conversations that
Mhm.
you should be having.
Yeah.
So, what are some of those conversations that families need to be having, especially as they are getting older, especially as there's more assets and money involved?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's two different conversations that can be had. One is if there is a couple having those conversations with each other. Oftentimes in a relationship, there's one person that takes care of the finances and is in the weeds a little bit more than the other.
Yeah.
Sometimes the person who's the other, you know, says they want nothing to do with it is not great.
Yeah.
So they need to have those conversations, even if it's just, if something happens to me, here's a list of where our accounts are. Here is, what those balances are. Here's what's going to happen to those accounts. If both of us were to pass or if I was to and you're left here, like there just needs to be a general understanding of, what you have
Yeah.
and what will happen to it. And if it is, documented somewhere for reference, even better. And then the other conversation is between, an individual or a couple and anyone who will be inheriting any potential assets that are left over upon a passing. And so, of course, you're not going to know exactly how much is going to be inherited because there's a lot of unknowns, but you can at least have conversations with, oftentimes it'll be a child or an adult child, hopefully.
Yeah.
But, of where, where some documents are. Hopefully there's a will. Hopefully there's something that, just outlines really clearly where accounts are held, what the estimated balances are. If you're working with an advisor, who that person is, so you can reach out. If there's a lawyer, who that person is. Just having conversations that aren't necessarily fun to talk about because you're talking about what happens in the case of death, but making sure that you're making it as an easy of a transition as possible for people who are going to be, dealing with that.
Yeah. And this is, some people just want to do everything themselves. That can kind of create the situation, I guess, in the long run.
Yeah.
What role can a financial advisor play? I guess both before somebody in the family passes
Hmm.
and after.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I try to do a lot with my clients is encourage them to have more conversations.
Yeah.
It's not intuitive to do that. It can be awkward, particularly, just in our culture, talking about finances can be awkward. It can be uncomfortable. A lot of people just prefer to not.
Yeah.
And so just encouraging them to have those conversations and letting them know why it's important and how it can be helpful. And usually, when you lay it out like that, you can see a light bulb come on and, oh, I've not thought of that. Every time we meet, we're going over beneficiaries to make sure they're the most up to date. Those get changed a lot. Maybe it's a last name that's changed. Maybe there's a new grandchild born. Maybe there's been a divorce in the family. There's just so many instances where that would change. And a lot of people don't realize that whoever is listed on a beneficiary and investment account will supersede anything in a will. And so they might think, I don't need to change it on that. It's in my will. That's not actually how that's going to work out for you. So that's an important thing that we do every time we meet. And then, of course, in the aftermath, we get to be there and just kind of walk through how everything's laid out, be there to answer questions, be there as a listening ear, honestly. So
Yeah,
it's just we're there to help make decisions. We make sure that people don't rush into decisions. When you're in the middle of a kind of a traumatic time of life, it's not the best time to be making huge financial decisions.
for
So
sure.
we can push pause for a little bit and take some time to think about things.
That's excellent. And one last thing, you mentioned that this is like, I mean, circling back around to like you want your spouse, your kids, your family to be okay. This is a particularly vulnerable time
Mhm.
where the spouse who is left behind, if there's not clarity there, if there's not communication
Mhm.
beforehand, they can be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to like set you up for an answer to that, but I guess is there any final call to action or recommendation that you have for people just based on wanting them to go through this as smoothly as possible, even if it is a really difficult time?
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, not rushing into decisions is something that's always going to be good. Talking to multiple people, having input from multiple trusted contacts. If you are a spouse that is not in the weeds with the finances, have maybe only gone to one meeting with a financial professional you work with or a lawyer you work with, and now all of that is put on you. If you're in those meetings afterwards and are not understanding things or feel like you're being rushed through things, getting a second opinion in that circumstance might be really appropriate. And typically, you're going to be able to go get a second opinion from someone, have someone look over things with you. And they're not going to charge you for that because they want to make sure you want to work with someone who is an educator and who helps you to understand what's going on, not just tells you what to do.
Absolutely. So, I mean, from this conversation, it should be obvious that a financial advisor isn't just somebody who manages investments, right? This can go very deep
Yeah.
in the interest of fully taking care of guiding, educating people
Yep.
through achieving the best financial outcomes wherever they are in life and whatever they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So, if you'd like to work with an asset strategies financial advisor, or even just have a no cost, no obligation conversation and see what it might be like, see any input. This is all obviously very general advice, which is the best we can do in a video like this. But to get specific advice to your personal situation, we do offer a welcome call with an advisor like Nicole or another member of the advisory team. And we'll make sure to include a link with this video to schedule that call. Nicole, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.